Day 2, Stage 2, Austin, Texas, brother. The question before us, will Faze fulfill the prophecy and go out 3-0, or will Legacy become the biggest supervillains in the history of Counter-Strike? Meanwhile, can Falcons recover from their $15 million disaster yesterday and keep their major hopes alive? And in between that, we have a lot more games to discuss, so let's go ahead and break down today's recap. And as you guys may have noticed, I record these in stages. A game will finish, I go and, record the footage, record that take, and move on. So these videos are built over the course of the day. So you guys get to see in real time how my takes evolve, which is probably really entertaining for you and really stressful for me. So I wonder if my mood will change throughout the process of this video. We will have to see. And if you guys enjoy this kind of major coverage, you can show me by leaving a like, leaving a comment down below, and subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Helps out immensely the YouTube algorithm, so thank you for doing it. Help me hit 10K subs by the end of the year. And lastly, let's go ahead and thank today's sponsor. Austin, Texas, brother. The first American major in 7 years. 32 teams will enter, and only one will rise above and enter into history. While the action unfolds in the server, you can fight your own battles and predict who will win. 4 stages. Make the right choices and win awesome prizes. Show off to all your friends that you do in fact know ball. Participate in Skin Club's major pick'ems with the first stage starting on June 2nd. Check the top link in the description to go ahead and get started. And lastly, remember, Skin Club is an online gambling service. If you choose to play on Skin Club, please do so safely and responsibly. Do not gamble if you're under 18 or live in a country or jurisdiction that restricts gambling. Gambling addiction is a serious issue, and if you or a loved one are suffering from gambling addiction, you are not alone. If you live in the US or Canada, you can reach out toll-free to 1-800-GAMBLER for help. Please be safe, and thank you to Skin Club for sponsoring this video. So, at the risk of being comically wrong yet again, I've once again ventured to becoming the predict god ahead of today's shenanigans. I didn't do it yesterday because making 16 best of 1 predictions would have just been too long for one tweet, and I'm not paying for Twitter Blue ever. So, with just a more reasonable amount of matches, we can start making predictions again. We're going to put my predictions on screen. If you want to follow along, you can always follow me on Twitter at LionHeartZ1337. And with that, for my best of 1s for today, I have Tyloo beating Lynn Vision, 3D Max beating Nemiga, Furia beating M80, Heroic beating Bait. Then for our 4 best of 3s, I have Faze beating Legacy 2-1, Virtus Pro beating Pain 2-1, because that's a chaos pick, Falcons to beat OG 2-0, and if they somehow fuck this one up, it will be very, very funny. BetBoom to beat MiBR 2-1. Let's see how those develop over the course of today's recap. And, well, the first prediction didn't go very good, as Tyloo got absolutely trounced by Lynn Vision 13-5 on Anubis. Now, obviously, Lynn Vision are coming off the ultra high of defeating Falcons yesterday, so maybe I should have given more credence to that kind of bolstering their efforts today, but I genuinely just believe Tyloo are a better team. However, Lynn Vision definitely proved that wrong in this instance, as they absolutely dominated this game front to back. They had a 9-3 CT side on Anubis, and that should tell you about damn near everything. It's the most T-sided map in the pool, Jesus, Freudian slip, and to go that hard on the CT side just means you're going to win the game. Like, it would be so improbable to lose the game up 9-3 going into your T side. And for Tyloo, this was just another one of those games we've seen a few times in this major where the firepower was missing in different ways. They couldn't get impact from everybody. Nobody could get above 7 kills in the first half, no one was even door knocking going positive, nobody got better than a .72 rating, and that is just utterly disastrous. G especially seemed to really struggle. He got 0 kills in the very brief second half, but even at that point, like we already said, it's too late to try and make a comeback. They just kept walking into bomb sites and getting mowed down by Lynn Vision, who just seemed to find multi-kills on damn near every single possible round they could have. The big thing that stands out is it feels like Lynn Vision had an incredibly, and I do mean incredibly good read on their opponent once again, and that brings up a good point that we really haven't talked about in these recaps, and that's their coach. Their coach Gum seems to just be a mastermind of counter-stratting, because apparently it only took him 2 hours to figure out the Falcons on Nuke, and then he had all the time in the world to figure out Tyloo after, who they've played a bunch. Like, this man is a master. And apparently, he gave this great interview afterwards with James Banks. This man hasn't slept at all in the last few days. He's just been in the lab prepping for his team. And dude, the results he's gotten are incredible. Like, this guy is just like, the way he's clearly affecting his team, the way his teammates talk about him, my stock for Gum as a coach is just rising through the roof. And that says a lot because I had no stock on him previously, because who knew who the fuck Lynn Vision's coach was before this major. But this is how you break out in a big way. Like, the way that they just seem to just know what Tyloo wants to do virtually every single round was utterly bonkers. It was like they were wall hacking. So, fair play, 0 for 1 in predictions. Let's see how this develops over the rest of the day. Can't get much worse, right? Well, at least I got one correct so far. 3D Max did beat Nemiga, 13-11 on Dust 2. It was by no means a guaranteed win. And for Nemiga, this is a loss that's gonna hurt, because look at this timeline of the rounds here, and you'll see immediately kind of the problem. Nemiga dominated the early game in both halves, but still went on to lose this game, which is maddening. Winning the first 4 rounds on both halves is an insane advantage, one that should all but guarantee you are in a great position to win the game. And it takes some Herculean efforts to toss that out the window, and good lord, did Nemiga find a way. It seems like towards the end, they just started headbutting bomb sites and running straight into 3D Max's loving embrace. It felt like they had no real idea of how to steer the ship around adversity. They would just kind of go back to very simple defaults, and when those didn't work, they didn't have like a plan B. They didn't have a backup in these rounds. It also didn't help that outside of Sway, they definitely did not keep up with 3D Max's firepower, which is not something we often say about 3D Max's games. I thought that the double opping from 3D Max, especially on the CG side, was pretty interesting. Lucky was getting some pretty great impact with it towards the B-bomb side. And then Maka is just, pretty steady force all around. Overall, great win from 3D Max as they continue their efforts to make it out of the field. And the right predictions continue as Furia take out M80 13-8, also on Dust 2. A lot of Dust 2 today so far. This was a very close back and forth game. Unfortunately, what this comes down to is yet another kind of T-side disappearance from M80. The game was tied up 8-8, and afterwards, Furia clean sweep the next 5 rounds to close it out 13-8. And that's just a tough loss to take after such a great bounce back win against OG the day previous. And honestly, it's hard to really identify here what went wrong, because when you go back and watch the tape, a lot of these rounds pretty much turn into saves instantaneously after losing map control. 3 rounds straight where, like, Sin, for example, just had to go save immediately, it felt like, into the round. And that's frustrating. That builds up tension, and it causes you to play faster and maybe a little bit riskier in the rounds after. So after M80 tried to accelerate the pace, they got smashed harder. They ran into fallen multi-kills at long multiple times. They failed to get out B multiple times. And that just eviscerated their ability to bring this into a more competitive game. And all of that is despite Molodoy having a very slow performance, only going 11 and 12. It came down to Yuri, K-Serato, and Yakindar to really do a bunch of the legwork. Then Fallen came in with some very timely multi-kills, like I said at the very end. And this is definitely a tough game to lose, because this is the difference between having 2 best of 3s to work with to qualify versus 1. So for M80, it's now do or die from here on. You can't make any more mistakes. You can't have any more slow T-sides, or yet another NA hope is going to die out at the Austin Major. And then our last best of 3 would be between Bait and Heroic. And this one was a bit of a stunner, because Heroic looked very dominant to open up this game. Outside of losing the pistol round and the force buy thereafter, Heroic held Bait to just 3 rounds in the first half. But as soon as we got that half swapped, Bait got on the T side and didn't look back. They blitzed Heroic all the way to victory, going 9 and 3 on their T side effort, and the CT side firepower for Heroic utterly disappeared in a way that we rarely see from this roster, and honestly is a little bit worrying compounded with their performance yesterday. Like, obviously we all know, this is always a thought in the back of the mind, Heroic are a roster that are slated to split up after this major. Sunpius and Saw are gone. So in a lot of ways, you were hoping that maybe the dead roster buff could carry this team just like it did at the previous major, and maybe Heroic could break into top 16, or even better. There's certainly a team that's shown that potential, but losing to a team like Bait is a team that you are not worse than. Heroic are the better team, and I firmly believe that. They were the strongest team in stage 1, and they were a team that looked pretty strong even in this field. And now, instead of going up, 2-0 and then having to contend with your best of 3s, or just going 1-1 and winning today, you're now 1-2, and you're just in the same boat as teams like M80. It's win or die from here on out. It's best of 3s for your team to survive. And that's just not the position you want to be in, because you don't know what kind of teams you might find down there. You could find really good teams like Falcons trying to make their way out now. Instead, you don't have that buffer best of 3 to work with. You have to survive. It's just not the time to be losing best of 1s. And that's obviously comes with the caveat that best of 1s are so hard to predict. You have to do everything to show up and make sure that if you're losing these best of 1s, it's because you did everything you could. You can't pull up with 3 rounds on a second half like that. It's just not acceptable at this point. By the way, none of that's a takeaway from Bait. An incredible performance from them. Their T side was truly dominant. Let's see how they do in the best of 3s. Okay, yeah, so Faze lost to Legacy. That's not ideal, and I hate it. There's no way around it. Legacy put belt to ass in both these games. They 2-0'd Faze Clan straight up. It was 13-7 on Mirage, and what looked like Faze just about ready to push it to overtime until Legacy sniped the victory away at the last minute, 13-11. There's quite a lot of ways to go about this. There are indeed many ways to skin that cat. First place on Mirage, Legacy just slammed their dick on the table and went out to a meteoric 7-0 lead before Faze could get around on the board. And it was shenanigans the whole way down. Bubblesj and Simple were the only players getting kills. Rain, after double dab buffing Tyloo yesterday, cratered, only had 4 kills in the first half. Frozen only 1 better at 5. And Faze just couldn't handle the momentum. Like, putting their cock on the table is barely like a euphemism at this point, because Legacy were just playing off momentum. They saw blood in the water and didn't hesitate. And even when Faze managed to right the ship a little bit and, you know, win a handful of rounds into the end of the first half, win the pistol round in the second half, it didn't stop Legacy whatsoever. As soon as they were able to get a gun round in tow, they just calmly closed the game out. And the most disrespectful, and I do mean disrespectful in all the best ways play, was that Sadzin op clip under the balcony, playing like an honest-to-God maniac, going up and down the ladder, hitting miracle shots, and he gets a triple kill, and that's match point, and just game over at that point. Yeah, I don't... Legacy are starting to give us some uncomfortable discussions, because at a certain point, it kind of stops being a fluke. And yeah, just one event. We don't know what they're going to be after this. We don't know if they're going to maintain it. But at the major right now, they're a fucking threat. Every team in the world should hate the thought of playing these fuckers in a map, because they don't seem to go away. They just don't seem to die. And as we head into Dust 2, we see a very similar thing. I mean, guys, Faze actually won the beginning of both of these halves, like very, very succinctly. They went up 5-0 on the first half on the T side. They lost the half 7-5. They won the pistol round on the CT side, converted 2 great rounds after. As soon as they lost the first gun round to Legacy, look at what happened. Legacy instantly pushed it to match point, forced Faze into a position where they had to get miracles out of their asses just to be able to get this even door knocking towards overtime. Like, even Simple pulling off of miracles with the op on A side was only just a footnote, because as soon as Legacy decided they just wanted to knock over the B bomb site and punish Rain, they did. And they won the game. Just like that easy. Like, I don't even know, dude. It's so hard to say anything to, like, detract from Legacy's win here. This is legit. Like, this is legit. Like, Faze was Simple. Whatever you want to say about Simple's form, they're still a top 10 team in the world, and Legacy aren't even close to that. And they soundly beat them. And they beat them with good, efficient Counter-Strike and timely impact from their star players. Like, fuck. Like, Legacy are redefining the conversation around Brazilian teams right now in a way that I had no idea to be able to forecast ahead of the major, because, again, they weren't supposed to be here. I put this out on Twitter, and I think it's good enough that I'm going to put it here, because I love recycling my own content, as you can tell. And I said this. Do you understand what level of psychotic supervillain shit you have to be on to get eliminated in the qualifiers, and then at the last minute, your, like, arch nemesis isn't able to participate, so you get the call to play in the major, to the resounding hatred of everybody on Twitter, until Bestia proved themselves to be fools in the end, but still, a massive amount of hate going your way for something you can't control. And what do? You show up to the stage 1, you start a little slow, you go through the fucking lower rung of the first stage and qualify out in dramatic fashion, you walk into stage 2 playing real legit teams, and you go 3-0 to make top 16 with rookies who have never played a major. You beat a Faze clan With the GOAT of CSGO, the best IGL to play any version of the game, one of the best NA talents ever produced, one of the best glue men to ever play Counter-Strike in rain, and Frozen, who was one of the best players of the last 5 years. And you beat them. Like, regardless of quality or whatever, the names in the server should make you feel nervous, and Legacy didn't bat an eye. Lux, as a junior, unproven in-game leader, just walks in and goes blow for blow with Kerrigan. That's awesome. Like, that's an awesome story, straight up. I'm a Faze fan, and I'm happy for Legacy. Fuck the pick'ems, fuck everything else. This is a dope-ass story. The only downside is that Vitality have played nothing and are watching their best competition slowly get eliminated, which, you know, Vitality are getting Paris 2.0 because Zywoo can't ever win a real major. That aside, for Legacy, in isolation, fucking incredible. In our next series, it loathes me to admit that I was correct with this prediction, but Virtus.pro are one of your 3-0 teams. If you thought I was going to say this sentence at any point during the major, please do me yourself a favor and seek mental help. Because what is this timeline? Why is Virtus.pro like good for once? Now granted, it's only 2 best of 1s and a best of 3. I'm sure Virtus.pro will come crashing back to mediocrity eventually, but this was a legit win over Pain. Both these games were incredibly close and require Virtus.pro to get through some very tough rounds at the end to get the victory. They won 13-10 on Dust 2, 16-13 on Mirage. Overall, I think Pain actually played very good in both these games. When it came down to it, there were just a handful of clutches that kept going Virtus.pro's ways. In both maps, Virtus.pro had the advantage in total clutches won, as well as being close to or beating in first kills. The problem is that beyond that, this was one of those games that I didn't get a chance to watch very closely at all, as it ran pretty much side by side with FaZe Clan getting defeated by Legacy, as well as the beginning of Falcons and OG. So listen, I am one guy, it's hard for me to cover and watch all the games at the same time, so this is one of those ones where I kind of have to stick to just kind of cliff notes of what I saw in the demo afterwards. But honestly, I think individually, you got a lot of what you wanted to see if you are the one Virtus.pro fan left. Split was awesome, Icy had great moments of impact. While Flammus' score doesn't jump off the table to you, on Mirage especially had some great moments of impact in that overtime. Honestly, this is just a good win. Pain didn't look bad by any means. This was a close game where both teams could have walked away with a W, but unfortunately we live in the cursed timeline where Virtus.pro had to. Obviously, you know, there is no God. We have killed him along the way, and we don't even get the bonus of Falcons getting eliminated today. Spoilers, so not even anything happy to look forward to. And before we get to that series, let's talk about the series that ended before it. Kind of just like with the Virtus.pro series before this, I was not able to catch much of MiBR ruining my hopes and dreams by eliminating BetBoom. This one hurts on 2 fronts, because I want MiBR to go 0-3 for my pick'ems. Yeah, my pick'ems are dead, but listen, I want to get 1 right, and 2, I like Bubblesj. I don't know if you guys know this. This may surprise you. Big Bubblesj fan over here. So them getting eliminated 0-3 hurts. It hurts. And for it to be MiBR, a roster that I know won't do fuck all, hurts a little worse. So we'll go ahead and keep this brief. It was 13-11 on both maps, Train and Anubis. Honestly, this was a good series from MiBR by all intents and purposes. Safe played great. Lucauzi had a great performance on Train. Insani did not have a good map on Anubis, but it didn't matter because, again, Save, Eggs, and Lucauzi stepped up in their place. Meanwhile, for BetBoom, Axile's a terrorist. He do be committing crimes. The crime of being a check stealer. Dude, okay. Let's not get too aggro on the internet for once. The last round of Anubis, can somebody identify me anywhere on a map or like have a team of scientists figure out? Axile had a glass cannon op and Zorte, their opper, just didn't get it. Like what? Why? Why does he have the glass cannon op? This is actually disgusting. Whatever, man. It's fine. Everything's gonna be okay, especially when after this major, Bubblesj comes to Spirit and they become the best team in the world. So I'll hold on to that delusion for a little bit longer. Now let's go ahead and talk about the last series of the day, Falcons versus OG. Now I'm just gonna fire from the hip on this one because I haven't gone in to record the POVs yet. I sat in Discord with a bunch of the boys and watched this game from front to back. So we're just gonna kind of spitball a little bit and then we'll get out of here. So on Dust 2, obviously, it felt like OG had literally killed Falcons dead when they stole a victory away from them 13-11. because honestly, this was about as bad of a throw from Falcons as you could possibly imagine. In fact, I would say it's actually worse than the throw they did against Lynn Vision yesterday, because they went up 9-3 in the first half on the T side, and that was despite m0NESY being more or less missing. It came off the back of Magisk actually playing a damn good game, and Nico being just as good right behind him. m0NESY was just kind of pedestrian, and frankly, he was missing a lot of op shots then that would continue through the rest of this game to the detriment of Falcons' ability to win. And considering just how much better of a team Falcons are than OG on paper, you'd think that a 9-3 victory would be able to be converted upon every single time. Again, rank doesn't mean everything, but please keep in mind, OG are currently ranked 42 in the world. Falcons are the second best team in the world, and they conceded a 10-2 second half to OG's T side. 10-2. OG won the pistol round and didn't lose a single round to Falcons for 6 straight. And when Falcons did miracle around out of their asses, OG won the next one back almost immediately. Now, despite all of that, and with m0NESY having a wretched CT side, by the way, m0NESY went 6 for 9, nice on that CT side half. It still came down to the very last round of play with the game tied 11-11. And OG looked like things were going to be conceded into overtime after they got the bomb down on the A site and quickly got whittled down to a 4v2 with 2 players, Nikadas and I believe it was Fiku, trapped onto Catwalk. And then Nikadas hit, no joke, the play of the major with this insane 4K game-winning clutch. Hits the first 2 shots on the guy's cat, the second one a perfect pixel uncrouch peek shot, turns around, hits a blinder of a flick onto Magisk, and then a 1v1 against m0NESY, who has missed 45 op shots to this point, and he calls it. He calls m0NESY's bluff, doesn't take the peek. m0NESY doesn't even go for the fake defuse. He takes a swing on m0NESY as he turns around with the Tech 9, fumbles around, and headshots m0NESY for a 4K game-winning clutch that literally broke the internet. And I was convinced was going to break Falcons, because at this point, after Dust 2, keep in mind that Falcons at this major have played 3 maps, they have 3 losses, and m0NESY has yet to post a positive rating in all 3 games. So going into Nuke, I just thought that was it. They're going to capitulate. It's going to be over. And listen, this was not the same Falcons that pulled up to the rest of the series, and even then, OG door knocked doing it again. Because on Nuke, after they lost the pistol round and capitulated the early game, something more on that in just a minute, Falcons won, 8 straight rounds to close out the first half. And hey, m0NESY's back. He's hitting op shots. You know, wake up, m0NESY's here. He's not washed yet. Still one of the best players in the world. And listen, I'm not going to say it's entirely on him, but Nikadas for the next 2 games of the series is going to disappear. And it feels like with it, the enthusiasm from OG to actually want to win this game. Because they still managed, at the very end of the first half, to win the last round. They then won the CT side pistol round in the second half, making it 4 straight pistol round wins in this series. They won the next 4 rounds straight before Falcons managed to squeeze one through. They then triumphantly won the next round in a miracle retake. They went back and forth with the Falcons for 2 more rounds, before the Falcons would actually just seal the game off completely due to a combination of economy restraints and frankly OG getting ahead of themselves and trying to end the series. What's interesting is that so far through 2 Nuke maps at the major, Nico has seemed to find some of the form that's been escaping him in the past couple of months. He's definitely looked better on the CT side. His T side seems up and down. I noticed there were a couple of structural mistakes with Falcons in the second half. Like there was one round, I don't know if I'll be able to find the clips, I don't remember which round specifically, but Nico went to cross outside and he just like walked outside, like he walked in front of where Big Garage can see, you know, the first peak outside. And he did it in such a way that that peak was very clearly, I expect the smoke wall to be up so I can give up no noise and get to red box safely. Instead, the smoke was about a second behind him. So from the perspective of Nikadas, he just saw a T peek out very slowly and deliberately right into his crosshair. Like Nico didn't even react. Like, he didn't have time to fire a shot back. So in my mind, that reads as Nico wasn't trying to peek and take a shot at Nikadas. No, he was trying to cross safely to red and assume the smokes were going to be there. So there was definitely a little bit of chaos and miscommunication early on in the second half. And chaos is probably the right word to describe the end of this game. Like both teams were kind of throwing shit at the wall and seeing what stuck. It's just that honestly, I think Falcons got lucky because there were some situations where OG had the first shot in these rounds and missed. Probably the best example of that being the final round where OG are trying to get the boost onto the big boxes and ramp as Falcons have an optimal spawn to run out. So like the boost is happening as Falcons peek into ramp, but they only see the player in the corner on the floor who is trying to boost up the other with the MP9. They shoot him, but don't see the guy with the MP9, and then the MP9 just misses. Just wide misses a full spray on 2 players with their back turned. If he gets even 1 kill there, the entire like focus of the round shifts dramatically. So I think OG, they hit the wall of, oh, we're not supposed to be here. Oh, we're not supposed to beat a team this good, and couldn't get over that hurdle. Because Mirage was just a rinse. It was just a wash. OG won both pistol rounds in this game. So for the series, OG went 6 for 6 on pistol rounds. You want to know how many rounds they won on Mirage? 6. I'm not going to lie. Every single opening duel, damn near, went the way of Falcons. Falcons had 15 total opening kills to OG's 4. There was only one moment that it looked like OG might be able to make this game competitive, and it's that ridiculous 2v4 clutch on the B site where I think it's Spooky is just stranded with a deagle behind Get Right and just survives long enough with the deagle to help make the round possible with a rotating op coming in through market. And honestly, that felt a lot more like Falcons through that round than OG manufactured an insane individual moment. Outside of that, that was basically it. Nikodovs fell to planet Earth. He only had 8 kills. In the first half, he had 3. So Falcons, they got as close to the edge as you could possibly get. They looked into the abyss. It stared back. And so far, their massive investment in players is not out of the major yet. But honestly, it's not like the road ahead looks any more convincing. The thing is that at no point here did Falcons play any of the CS we've expected of them. None of the CS they've played for the last several months. He came back online as an individual, sure, but that was only in the 11th hour when they absolutely needed him. And going into tomorrow, they have a best of 3 against MiBR. They should definitely win that. But afterwards, who knows? There could be some situations where maybe they end up playing like a heroic. Or even worst case scenario, let's say Faze loses the 3D max. They could very realistically be playing Faze Clan on the final day, which would be utter chaos. So we'll wait and see. At this point, if looking ahead, Falcons make it out of stage 3, which they should, and they make like a dominant run into stage 3 going into the playoffs, it would definitely add to the lore of this major, that's for sure. Because so far they've not looked like world beaters. And if I'm Vitality, I'm just sitting there rubbing my hands like Birdman, because it feels like there is literally nobody that can stop us now. Because Maus aren't a threat. FaZe Clan looks shaky, and Falcons look like a ghost of their former selves. But at this point, it might just be a Paris run back. Knowing our luck, it's going to be something stupid. We get Legacy in the grand finals versus Vitality, and ZywOo gets the fraud streak to continue or something. Who knows? Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this content, you can show me by leaving a like, leaving a comment down below, and subscribing to the channel if you already helps on the YouTube algorithm. How many 10K by the end of the year? Thank you to Skin Club for sponsoring this video. Check the top link in the description. You can participate in their pick'ems alongside the ones in game. Participate for free at the link in the description down below, and you also get to enter into giveaways for free prizes. Thank you to Skin Club for sponsoring. Thank you to my channel members, JesseTiv, Furia, Milan Berta, Bubblesj, Patatas Kaftesi, BTR, okay, we're just going to do that again. Thank you to my channel members, JesseTiv, Furia, Milan Berta, Bubblesj, Patatas Kaftesi, PTR, B1 Games, Cody Foxworthy, Justin Vector, Vegt, I'm Flashbang, Snowy White, Rowdy, Vergil'sPlasticChair, and Slade Pro 12. You might come to channel member, use the link in the description down below for how much money you get in the video, as well as because we're on the Discord, goodbye.